USC will have their work cut out for them as they will have to play that game at Pauley Pavilion. Right now, we want to welcome in our college basketball analyst to the show, Dave Miller. And Dave, these two teams so far in conference play, it's kind of been a tale of two different teams. As we take a look at the stats, UCLA was picked to win the conference. So far, they are proving that. USC, on the other hand, they're 1-3. Disappointing so far for SC?
It sort of is, and both teams are headed in a slightly different direction. One at the top, one near the bottom. One that has Final Four experience, one that has aspirations of making a Final Four. One led by upperclassmen, the other by underclassmen. But it will be a battle in Pauley Pavilion. You can throw all that out when those two teams get together.
You know, Dave, when you look at these teams, you have UCLA averaging 74 points per game, but it's really their play on the defensive side of the ball that's really been outstanding. Are you impressed?
Very impressed. Some of the best defense that I've seen all year long. The other day against Washington State, they were identical but just more intense and just had that oomph. Right here is a great example of them switching the on-the-ball screen. It prevents the pick and pop. There's a one-pass-away deny, causes the turnover. Right here you see a Mute into the ball. That's great ball pressure. Playing defense with his feet. There's a help and recover. All of a sudden, UCLA is going to man up. Great closeout here by James Keith, and that's just relentless pressure.
I want to talk about Kevin Love. He did a great job against Aaron Baines there against Washington State. Kevin Love, Pac-10 Player of the Week. But he has really been baptized by these Pac-10 big guys. Have you been impressed so far with his composure, Dave?
So impressed, guys. He's so versatile, and he just has an offensive repertoire of that of a seasoned vet. As you see him here, he just knifes to the offensive glass, which is going to make him a lot of money one day with the putback. Right here, we see a nice little dishing some love. That'll boy ya. Right here, we've got a nice little pick and pop. He nails the three. He's playing with the confidence of a seasoned vet.
You know, Dave, the Trojans also have an outstanding freshman, O.J. Mayo, the #2 scorer in the Pac-10 currently. You know, talk about his play. Have you been impressed with what you've seen so far?
Very much so. Very coachable. He just, as you watch him, and I recruited for so many years, I watch his body language. I watch him when he talks to Tim Floyd. Very receptive to coaching, very talented, can create a shot at any time. Here he's just a nice little catch and shoot, nothing but net. Next up here, it's a little trick play from Mick Haley. It's a little setback, fadeaway jumper, and here in transition, he's able to stop and pop as good as anybody in the country.
Now, O.J. Mayo obviously gets so much attention, but let's talk a little bit about Dwight Lewis, who had really impressive week against the Washington Schools, averaging, 16.5 points. Do you think he's the X factor against UCLA?
I do. I've talked to a lot of Pac-10 coaches, and he's the one guy that just needs to get it going. And what USC needs to do, what O.J. Mayo needs to do, Angelo needs to do, is get Dwight started early. He needs to be able to get an early score. When that basket gets big right here on a drive to the middle, as soon as that ball goes through the hoop, that hoop just gets wider and wider. Another drive right here, he catches it, comes into the middle, 2 feet in the paint, good things happen.
All right, Dave, now lastly, you know, this series last year, the Bruins ended up winning both games, both hard-fought games, one a one-point game at the Galen Center, of course, a 5-point game at Pauley Pavilion. Bottom line, what do you expect to happen?
Well, you know, you just can toss
Come on, I'm a Trojan now.
I'd like to say that the Trojans are going to go into that game with Tim Floyd saying, let's get better. Let's work on some things that we have to do. However, on the other side, Christine, you know Ben Howland on that blackboard has home court, home court, home court. And they will defend that home court as good as anybody in the nation come Saturday.
I know the teams don't like to look ahead, but that doesn't mean we can't. In terms of the, near future for these two teams, UCLA is on such a roll. Do you see them keeping up this type of momentum?
I sure do. Ben Howland is definitely the type of coach that will not then miss a beat. Also on the other side, though, Tim Floyd, he keeps his teams on edge. You've got two great coaches in the city of Los Angeles, which makes it so exciting. It's not just the Lakers and the Clippers. It is now the Bruins and the Trojans. And it's just going to keep getting better and better because these guys can coach, they can recruit, and these players are coachable, and they're receptive to getting better, as you see on the court each and every night.
You know, Dave, one thing you talked about is how young USC is and how many of the underclassmen are really trying to get it done. Forget about Saturday. Let's move forward past that. How much better does this SC team get down the line? Are they good enough to make it to the NCAAs?
It's going to be tough, but one thing you know with the Tim Floyd coach team is that his teams always get better by March. Right now, the Bruins are playing like it's March 12th, 13th, 14th, and I'm sure on the 15th is what all the Bruin fans are expecting. But Tim Floyd will have his team getting better each and every day. So Trojan fans, don't give up. The Trojans are on the move.
Yeah, well, the first test will
I'm nervous.
You're nervous. Well, we'll see how it all plays out on Saturday when UCLA plays USC for the first time this season. Dave Miller, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.